prosecutors do try to make examples, and it gets in the news, and and that's how they help enforce our laws. That's how they educate the community about these things. And that could be you. That could be you in Massachusetts. You could go into jail, even if you throw a party like this and nobody gets hurt. You could throw a party for your son or daughter and 2 or 3 of their friends. Somehow the police find out about it, and you can be prosecuted. And then you're relying on the court for mercy. Hopefully they give you community service and probation, but they might put you in jail. I think this is my last story. This is kind of a more recent story and very typical of the prosecution under the social host statute. That's a picture of David Holman, who died at the age of 19. Mr. Holman attended a party at a friend's house. His friend was 21. There were a lot of people that were over 21, and there were some people there under 21. Mr. Holman went to the party, played some drinking games with his friends, and then at some point that evening, his friend's parents came home. They continued to drink. They knew people were drinking. The parents even joined in with the drinking games. Later that night, Mr. Holman tried to drive home and wrapped his car around a tree or a telephone pole or something like that, and he died. And the police brought charges against everybody. That's on the left, Deborah Lesko with her son, Andrew Lesko. Andrew is the one who purchased the alcohol. And on the right, Edgar Lesko. All of them were charged. Mother and father were charged, even though they didn't buy or provide any of the alcohol. All they did was they knew alcohol was being consumed at their house, and they did nothing to stop it. And they all pleaded guilty to 4 counts, and they were all sentenced to probation. Luckily, they avoided jail time. So those are all examples of how this statute is being enforced in Massachusetts. And a lot of people say, well, most of the time what happens is somebody gets community service or probation, and that's it, and they can move on with their lives. I'll tell you that's not the case. I've been involved in these kinds of cases, people on both sides, bringing cases on behalf of plaintiffs and working with people who've actually been charged with things like this. It is miserable for you, even if you get away with no jail time. If you plead guilty or if you're convicted, even if you don't go to jail, your criminal record will follow you. It will follow your children if they are convicted of this, even if they don't get any jail time. Many of you are probably familiar with the first year, the common application for college. I think it's about that time for a lot of you guys to be involved in those kinds of decisions. As you know, you're asked on the first year application, have you ever been convicted of a misdemeanor, felony, or other crime? You've got to answer that yes, and you've got to explain why. All things equal, you're not going to get into that school. They're going to put you into the bad pile. After you get out of school, if you're applying for a professional license, this is an example, CPA exam, they ask you the same question. When you apply to law school, they ask you that question. When you apply to be a lawyer, they ask you that question. Again, all things equal, you're going to be in trouble with this criminal record. Potential employers, you're going to be in trouble with this record. They're going to be thinking, this is a person who made a poor decision in the past. All else equal, why would I hire them? Why would I admit them to my school? Why would I give them a license? It has implications for athletics, and unfortunately this is perhaps the one thing that really gets through to kids, is that if you are caught underage drinking or providing alcohol to minors, you lose your eligibility to participate in athletics under the MIAA regulations. You can read them yourself. In addition to those, schools and school districts can come up with much more strict penalties for athletes who do drink. So in addition to, of course, the senseless tragedy, loss of life and limb, and criminal penalties, you can also expose yourself to a lot of civil liability. I can tell you, as a lawyer who does this kind of thing, that if you throw one of these parties and tragedy follows, be it death or significant injury, you will be sued. I've yet to see one of these cases where somebody wasn't sued following a death or a tragedy and underage drinking. It will happen. What happens is the family, even if they are a friend of yours, gets upset. Their child has died, their child has been injured, and they are looking for somebody to blame, and they will end up in a lawyer's office. And that lawyer will tell them about the social host statute, tell them about negligence laws and wrongful death laws, and a suit will be brought. Ordinarily, in order to prove negligence in Massachusetts, you've got to prove all four of these elements. That you had a duty of care, that you breached that duty, that that breach was the proximate cause of someone's injury, and then you get to damages. But in this instance, where you've broken a law, your violation of that law can be used against you. In Massachusetts, it's violation of a criminal statute is evidence of negligence on its own. And so you've probably already been charged criminally. You're not going to get away with it civilly. This is a rough sketch of the timing and sequence of what will happen to you if you throw a party and somebody does get injured. Within the first 3 or 4 months, you'll have complaints brought against you, probably both civilly and criminally. Most likely within a year or so, the criminal trial will have happened or you will be disposed of otherwise if you plead guilty to it. But the civil case will follow you around for another 3 or 5 years. There can be appeals. It can go on even longer than that. I can tell you that that is 3 to 5 years of hell. It is miserable. You will be forced to relive all of your decisions, all of the choices that you made at 10 or 15 different opportunities, as you're questioned by police officers, as you're questioned by district attorneys, as you talk to your own lawyer, as you talk to the other lawyer, as you're deposed, as you are on trial. And this will stay with you in your mind for 3 or 5 years. At the end of which, you will most likely either have a very large settlement against you or a large verdict against you. How much? Well, this is the old MasterCard commercial type thing. Budget for your party, $374 for some beer, some ice, some cups, and some pizza. And the verdict that you've bought, $8.6 million. And you may say, Scott, are you picking that number out of thin air? No, I'm not. That's an actual verdict in a social host type case in Massachusetts. In fact, that's the verdict in this case that I talked to you about first today. Mr. Bornstein and Ms. Zink's parents brought this case, and this is the verdict sheet right here, $8.6 million. Ms. Zink's parents got $7 million for her death, and Mr. Bornstein and his parents got, looks like $1.6 million for his significant brain injury. $8.6 million. That's the kind of exposure that you're looking at if you throw one of these parties. It could, of course, be less. It could, though, be even more than that. And you may say, Scott, that's okay. I've got homeowners insurance. I'm protected from this kind of thing. One, I don't know if your homeowners is going to apply in this case. But if it does, most of us have about $500,000 in homeowners coverage. Some of us have up to $1 million. Very rarely you'll see an umbrella policy of up to $3 million. I almost never see insurance above $8 million. And so you're looking at losing everything that you've worked decades to earn, decades of savings, college funds, things like that you're looking to lose because you decided to give alcohol to minors or allow your kids to drink alcohol and their friends to drink alcohol in your house. It's simply not worth it. That's about all I have to say. I know that you guys, a lot of you are standing, that we started a little bit late. These are the takeaways for you. In Massachusetts, the law is 21. 21 years old. One day younger than that, and it's illegal. Doesn't matter what the prevailing attitude is in the community, that's the law. If you choose to ignore it, it will lead to senseless tragedy and death, jail, and a criminal record, and perhaps you've thrown an $8 million party. So that's all I have to say. I know that we're late and that a lot of you want to leave. If any of you have questions afterwards, I'm going to stick around for a while. I appreciate it.